Hello everybody, my name is SimK and I would like to welcome you guys back to Tuesdays with K, and today I'm reviewing a microphone XLR kit for $100, the Aokeo microphone kit with the Behringer Uphoria UM-2 interface. Only $100. Now, whenever I saw this, I was of course very skeptical. I saw an XLR kit that cost $100 and I was just like, there's no way this can be good, right? I'm just like, there's no way. There has to be something wrong. There has to be something about it that just screams crap. So the fact that this is not only $25 cheaper at the very lowest end, but that this microphone is significantly more appealing overall with a 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz range is making me very skeptical. Now, I'm going to, of course, run tests, listen back to it. So far as I can tell, the quality of this microphone is pretty damn solid. It's crisp, it's clean, it has nice frequency response. It does tend to be a little bit at the bassier end, but that's no big deal. The Shure SM7B is a little bit of a darker microphone too, and that one costs quite a bit more. It's not so dark that it's muddy or anything. It's just a little bit at the darker end, you know. The other big thing is that this came with a Behringer Uphoria UM-2. So I'm going to run it through my series of tests. So let's talk about what comes in the box first. So in the box, you're going to get the microphone, a pop filter. It's actually this pop filter right here. This is a Mayono pop filter. And they're roughly the same quality. I just prefer Mayono over this one because of just it feels better in my hands. This one's gooseneck feels a little weak and it's a little crinkly too. It makes noise. The Mayono's does not. But regardless, they're both cheap pop filters. They don't do a whole lot. You're also going to get a 5/8 to 3/8 inch microphone stand adapter, the shock mount that this microphone is sitting on, and an XLR to XLR cable, one of those cheap ass cables that you've seen quite a bit of, where it's you can see where it's like all screwed in and crap. It's a cheap cable, but you know it'll do its stuff. And you're also going to get a boom arm. The one that I'm using is also from a Mayono kit. Now, one of the things that I am impressed with is the mounting system. So here's a mounting system from another boom stand. This one has a tightening bracket right here, and it has the tightening bracket that hooks onto your desk, but there's no protection, which means that it's essentially biting into your desk. And this is very common among cheap knockoff boom arms. A lot of the better boom arms, like the ones that I have on those microphones back there, have some sort of plastic fitting or rubber that is protecting it so it doesn't bite into your desk. This one has, it's not great, but it's some rubber that helps protect it against biting into your desk. The boom arm itself, of course, though, is cheap. It's one of those crappy little boom arms that you would get. It doesn't hold a lot of weight, which is surprising because this microphone actually is pretty heavy. So let's talk about the quality of each part. The microphone arm, as I said, not great quality. It won't hold up a bunch of weight. It wouldn't hold up the Shure for sure. The mounting system, on the other hand, is actually pretty good quality. It's not the best quality that I've ever seen, but it does work and it won't damage your desk at the same time, which is really good. I really enjoy that they actually took that into consideration. The pop filter, as I said, it's not great quality. It's a generic pop filter, just the pantyhose style pop filter. Nothing too great about it. I'm not going to even try to speak about it because there's nothing great about that pop filter. It's standard, generic, run-of-the-mill pop filter. The gooseneck arm is a little bit lower quality, which, there's quite a few. Dragon Pad made pop filters back in the day that had the same exact issues. The XLR cable, I have to say, is a disappointing factor. For a microphone kit this high up, I would at least expect something that would have the rubber screwed onto the metal with a fitting on the inside, instead of the generic XLR cables that you have to, there's like 5 or 6 screws in them that help them get put together, and you can see every single bit of them. They're not great. The shock mount is okay. It's serviceable. It does what it needs to do. It's nothing too really special. I wouldn't even give it. I'd give it a meh out of 10. But now we're gonna move on to the most interesting parts: the Behringer and the microphone itself. The microphone itself is pretty good quality. It's an all metal body, metal mesh grill. There is a little bit of plastic right on the very front where the logo is and all that. It looks like just a plastic plate, like high gloss plastic plate. That's not too bad. There's a lot of microphones that do that, just for a little bit of shine. It's not even detrimental to the functionality or the overall build quality. It's there for design purposes. That being said, this microphone is pretty heavy. You could probably beat somebody to death with this thing. It's not as heavy as something like the Shure, or probably not even as heavy as something like the Audio-Technica AT2035, but I would probably say it's about as heavy as an Audio-Technica AT2020. Speaking of Behringer, it would be a good idea if you wanted to do a dynamic microphone. You could also get this Behringer XM8500 and easily plug it up, and you'd have a full Behringer setup, all for basically the equivalent of like $75. Let's go ahead and do a pop test. So I'm going to actually disconnect this pop filter now, and we're going to run through a pop test. All right, so let's go ahead and do a pop test. So pop goes the weasel, pippity pop, seashell seashells by the seashore. Pop goes the weasel, pippity pop, seashell seashells by the seashore. Okay, so looking at my graph right here, I can absolutely tell you that on both tests, it 100% failed. So pop filters are a must with this microphone. So there are a couple options that you can get for pop filters. My favorite is to do a ball wind cap or one of the pop filters that slides on there. So this is actually a large microphone ball wind cap. I'll link it down in the video description if you guys want to go buy it. It's for microphones like this that are odd shape quality or large in size, that you can just put these on there. And there we go. Now we have a ball wind cap. You guys won't be able to hear my fan as much, and it'll cut down on my plosives. Not nearly as much as a standard pop filter, but the best option is, of course, to do what I have back here with my Rode NT1, a pop filter and a ball wind cap to cut down on the wind noises. It also will reject plosives because now there's a pop filter in front of it, and a ball wind cap, so it's anything that gets let through, it's dissipating on that pop filter and wind cap and just calling it a day. So anyway, let's go ahead and do a polar pattern test. So the good thing with this shock mount is that it's a compression based shock mount, not like the ones where you squeeze, but this one you twist the bottom and it will start unraveling itself. So I'll be able to spin it around inside its shock mount. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and talk into the microphone as I spin it around here so that we can determine what the actual polar pattern is. Is it cardioid? Is it omnidirectional? Is it bidirectional? What's the polar pattern? Right now I'm talking into the front of the microphone. I'm now talking into the side of the microphone. I'm now talking into the back of the microphone. I'm now talking into the other side of the microphone. I am now talking into the top of the microphone. I am now talking into the bottom of the microphone. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and perform the legendary clicky and typey test so that we can see how much my voice versus how much the keyboard and mouse kit picks up. So I'm going to go ahead and start talking and just go ham here on my keyboard with Cherry MX Browns just to give you an idea of what it's picking up versus me and all of that. I'm now pressing on the WASD keys as well as spacebar and R key occasionally to give you guys an idea of what it would sound like if you're playing a video game. So this is a review over the kits, so we are also kind of reviewing the Behringer at the same time. So let's talk a little bit about the Behringer really fast. The Behringer Uphoria UM-2 is actually one of the best mic interfaces that you can get for its price. I believe it's like $50 or something. And the fact of the matter is that it's pretty good for what it does. It's made very cheaply. It's made out of plastic with plastic components. There's not a lot of metal in this thing. But at the same time, the internals are what matter on the mic interface because you're probably not going to be moving this thing around much. Not only that, it's very small. It's actually able to sit on my desk, whereas my Focusrites are sitting on a preprocessor on top of my computer, which is on the floor, of course. I moved it from back there. And so this one is so tiny that it's able to sit on my desk. And it has one microphone input. It has the ability to do direct monitoring from a 1/4 inch jack, which you can do 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch, or 5.5 to 3.5 for the European audience. There's also the ability to do a 1/4 inch connection if you play guitar, do drums, do synthetic drums, or have a microphone that you want to record dually. For instance, you want to record both a condenser microphone and a XM8500 or Shure SM50, and you plan on crossing those in your software to where you can have both of them. You can do that with this. Of course, it also has the ability to do 48 volts phantom power. So on the very top here, we have 3 dials that control different things. So this mic line gain 1 actually controls the microphone's output. As you can see, I have it set to around 50% or 12 o'clock. This gain right here is for the 1/4 inch connection on the very front. And that controls the gain that you're going to get out of that 1/4 inch connection. And then lastly, output is for this 1/4 inch connection for direct monitoring, which you'd also have to hit this button right here to do the direct monitoring. And this turns it up or down so that you can get so you can say it's side tone audio, not sideline. So I'm going to be doing a noise floor test both on the Behringer and in my software to see how much noise the Behringer itself picks up and how much the microphone itself picks up. The Behringer will pick up some noise on its own, and it'll combine with the microphone, and it'll sound pretty nasty overall. Okay, I'm going to turn this dial down to 0%. All right, we are at 0% on the Behringer Uphoria UM-2 with the Aokeo microphone. We are now at 25%. We are now at 50%. We are now at 75% and 100%. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn down the volume in Audacity here all the way to 0% and crank it up slowly to 100. We are 25%. We are at 50%, and this is about the point where it'd be tolerable. You just have to do a little bit of post work in order to get it boosted to the right level. We are at 75% now. This would be the absolute upper threshold that I would actually do if I was using this microphone. And 100%. Okay, so I put the ball wind cap back on to talk about this last part. What do I think about the microphone? What do I think about the kit? What do I think about everything? And my honest opinion is going to be this. The microphone itself is pretty good. It can be better, of course. There's better microphones out there, and you can upgrade this path from here, which is what makes this kit such a amazing deal, honestly. But it's one of those things that comes with caveats. One, the boom arm, it's absolute crap. It's the lowest grade crap that you can get. It's a cheap, bad boom arm. I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just not a great boom arm. It'll do what it needs to do and not much more. It won't allow you to have super flexibility with your microphone setup. It's short. It's got external springs, so if you bump it, it's going to travel up into the microphone, even with a shock mount. Which, speaking of the shock mount is honestly nothing special. It's a compression type shock mount where you screw the bottom on, and it doesn't really do a whole lot that's really all that special. It exists, and that's the point of most shock mounts, is just to exist and do what it needs to do. And this one does what it needs to do. It's not going to be like the Rode NT1 shock mount where you can literally shake that microphone and it will pick up very little of that resonance. This thing is going to feel resonance if you're going to start going ham and just punch your stand and stuff. The pop filter is a pop filter. It exists for one reason, and it does that perfectly fine. The gooseneck is loud, but you hopefully wouldn't have to adjust the gooseneck much. The Behringer Uphoria UM-2 is actually a mic interface I've wanted to put my hands on for a while, but I could never really justify just paying $50 for such a cheap little interface because, I have the Scarlett already. Why would I need this interface that I'm not going to do anything with? And this is a perfect opportunity for me to get it because I get a microphone as well, which, you can always use microphones. So having this in the kit really helps out. And not only that, I like that it's really small. If I ever need to be out of my home setup and I need to be able to set up an XLR really quickly, I can pack a small boom. This is a small InnoGear boom arm back here. This one's the larger one that I have for my dynamics. I have the small one for the Rode NT1. I can pack one of those, pack a microphone, and pack this guy, and it's a really small package altogether. Bring my laptop, and I can get going. I'm thoroughly impressed with this kit overall. Of course, not everything is perfect in it, but it doesn't have to be. It's $100. It's a kit meant to get you started towards XLR. It's definitely better than doing a newer setup where you're going to have the newer boom arm, the newer mount, the newer microphone, the ball wind cap, the crap XLR cable, and a Behringer Uphoria interface. You're not going to get nearly the same audio quality because newers are tinny, and the NW700 is very tinny. The NW800 is a lot better, but it's still tinny. This is not tinny at all. It came across very warm to me, and it's not muddy. It has a more natural sound. So I have to give high praises to this kit. I really wish that stuff like this existed whenever I was starting out, but I'm glad that it exists now so that people can get into it. This is a good idea. XLR is such an upgradable path. It's the path that most people should follow because USB, it's good for starting out and is good for certain use cases, but if you really want to get serious about your audio, you really want to turn either voice acting or your music career, really turn it up a notch, really get serious about it, then this is a good kit to go to. $100, you get everything you need, and you can start recording like that. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end that episode here. Very impressed with this kit. I enjoy it. I know I said a lot of negative stuff about it, but honestly, this is me being very nitpicky at the point I am in my own audio career. So I want to thank you everybody so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. You want to see more, make sure to subscribe. Check out some content I create, including links you see at the end of this video. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.